Hi, everybody. It is 9 o'clock on Monday. I'm hoping you can hear me. If there's anybody there, just let me know that you can hear me. I think this is the last Monday of July, which does not seem like it should be possible. But next week is July 1st. And in 2 weeks from today, I will be making the drive to Sisters, Oregon to teach there. And that is so exciting. I've never been to that show, and I've talked about this before on the live. So I'm not sure 2 weeks from today, but I'll let everybody know that I won't be online. But I'll definitely be posting pictures during that week on my social medias so that everybody can kind of see from my perspective. I will be teaching every day, so I don't know that I'll be able to see everything that everybody else sees, but on Saturday I will be at the show. Um, we don't teach on that day. So, um, but still so honored, privileged, excited. Um, Quilting has given me all of these experiences that I might otherwise not have. So that's always really exciting. I did finish all of the quilts of valor from that I need to give to the members of my church this week. We're doing that on Sunday. It's right before Independence Day, the service right before Independence Day. So we'll be doing that. So I just have to get them labeled and bound this week. And so huge thank you to Andrew Lee for helping me pull that off. And so we did get a good morning from Lynn. Thank you, Lynn, for being here. And so the other news that we have, my quote for today for Monday motivation isn't really about motivation, but it's something that is significant in my life, and it's dogs. So, um, you know, something in my life, I think a lot of people, pet owners, can um, identify with is, pets. They really do become part of our family. And, you know, really the first unconditional love that I ever experienced in my life was a dog. And ever since the very first time that I moved out on my own, I've always had an animal of some sort. My mother could not keep a goldfish alive, and she just was not the nurturing type. The fact that us four kids survived is a miracle in itself, and obviously not without a ton of scars and abuse, but that's something else. And so there's obviously significant dogs in my life that, maybe touched me a little bit deeper, but we lost a dog over the weekend, and his name was Grizz, or Grizzly Bear. And he was a Pomeranian, and he was actually Rob's grandma's dog. And he was the same age basically as our youngest daughter, Clarissa. and she rescued him. She had bought a dog because she wanted a dog, and she had this puppy, and from down the street, this little Pomeranian would come and visit her puppy that was named Mimi. And, um, Grizz was a kind of a puppy at the time. And this family, his grandma is from North Idaho, Bonners Ferry, Idaho, which is very close to the Canadian border. The winters are pretty harsh, and they did not care about this puppy just running around. And she had returned Grizz twice. And the third time she said, nope, if they don't care about this dog, I'm keeping it. So when they came and knocked on the door and said, we want our dog back, she said, you're not getting him back. Basically, like, you don't treat him well, you're not getting him. And he was perfectly fine to stay with Grandma and Mimi. And unfortunately, Grandma passed away several years after that. And um, so then Grizz and Mimi went and lived with Rob's mom. And she passed away about a year and a half ago. And we took in her 3 dogs, or 2 dogs, because Mimi had passed a few months before Rob's mom passed. So we have had Grizz. He's 21 years old, as far as we know. That's how long we've had him. And he loved it here. He loved walking around. He loved the sunshine. He loved being outside. We all very much loved him. And in fact, my daughter Clarissa, when she got a dog, she wanted a Grizz because she had loved Grizz so much every time we went and visited the grandmas. And so the quote for today is that dogs are not our whole life, but they make our lives whole. And I feel like that. I think that as long as Rob and I can, we probably always will have dogs. Now we have 4 due to Grizz passing. Um, and as each one of our children left, actually home, we replaced them with a dog. We didn't know we were doing that until we got about the 3rd dog, because we had 1 dog basically when they had left. And we were grieving so much, and we wanted something to take care of. And, dogs just sort of add a lot to our lives. We love them. We get up early. We are in a routine because of them. So much of our lives is about that. So there were so many quotes that I could have chosen, but, also dogs just teach us what unconditional love is. They love us more than they love themselves. And so it wasn't totally unexpected that Grizz would pass, but it is still hard on our hearts. And, that's the cost of owning a pet. But we're totally committed to it because they do offer so much. And Rita says, hi. Hi, Rita. Um, and Rita says, I was wondering if you had a shortcut to doing the Live Boldly quilt. And no, there isn't a shortcut. I know. What's funny about that, it's funny that you ask that, because when Jenny Doan asked to do that quilt on her channel, they she wanted a shortcut to do that quilt as well. And the team at Missouri Star looked over the pattern, and they looked for any ruler, any tool, anything to help make that process easier, and they couldn't come up with one. So as of now, we don't know any shortcuts to doing them. You just have to do it the old-fashioned way, cutting them and piecing them together. I know it's a little daunting, but that's the only way to get that graphic sort of design. And then she says, could you do half square triangles? Well, the thing about that is that you would have a ton of waste if you did it that way, because there is so many unique combinations. So there, again, the amount of waste, it would be terrible. So I have a whole series of designs that use that same technique, and There really is no shortcut, I'm sorry. I know it. Um, that is a topic that comes up regularly, but we haven't found a way. So if you find one, share it and we will be able to proceed. But none of us have found one. So sorry about that. And so, um, a few questions that were asked of me to address here on the live is Jana asked about how I got started and how I decided to take the leap into my quilting business. And so it's sort of I talk about this in my trunk shows a lot. And, um, to get as far as I've come, I think some people might think that I'm an overnight success because maybe you know me for being a pattern designer or a magazine contributor or something like that. But I actually started my business in 2010 as a long arm quilter. And I'm still a long arm quilter. I have 3 machines in my studio. That's, one of the reasons why I needed such a large space. And I'm not giving up long arm quilting. I still quilt for customers and people send them to me from all over the country. So I took the leap because I was working part-time at a quilt shop and I could not afford I still had 6 little kids at home, and I could not afford to buy fabric, and I was a full-time college student. I had decided to enter college when my youngest went to kindergarten because kindergarten was full-time, and so I thought I would go into nursing, because that seemed to make sense to me at the time because I worked in a hospital for all of these years. Um, But after I got my prerequisites anyways, different story. So I was working at a quilt shop part-time, and they had to repo a machine from somebody, and, I asked if I could take over the payments on that machine, and they said, "Well, we need a quilter for the shop," because I think their quilter was retiring, and I had never really, um, done a lot of quilting, but it was something that I wanted to do, and I was like a duck to water where I didn't know all the names of the designs or the terms that they call it. So when they said, "Oh, this is a feather," I didn't really know what a feather was, but they showed me a picture or like a quilt that had a feather in it, and they said, "Can you do this?" And so I did that, and I did a perfect feather around a border, and then they, kept saying, "Well, can you do this or can you do that?" And they would show me a picture and I could just do it. And so I then became the quilter for the shop and I was part of a website because this is all before social media, really. And it seems like it shouldn't be that long ago, but it was. And um, I was part of a site called the Quilting Board. And it was much different than it is now. It became so regulated and regimented, and they had sold out to somebody, I think, I don't remember who it was, but um, after that, it just didn't become, just wasn't the same place that it used to be. But at the time, it was like our form of social media for quilters where you were like pretty addicted to it and you would post your pictures there. And I had a little PDA, which was their form of a blog. And all of this stuff. And I had just put out that I was going to take commission quilts. And within 2 weeks, I had 60 quilts on my doorstep and a business had started. And that's basically why I made the leap. And then eventually, through the course of life, I decided to make it my full time business and drop out of college. There was some other circumstances in there, but that is the short version of the story. So, um, yeah, and then I was after 8 months, I paid off my first machine, I got my second machine, and then in 2017, I bought my third machine, and everything since then has just been a series of building upon one thing or another. I think, in my personal experience, I think the biggest mistake that someone makes in the quilting industry, and this may not be true for everybody, but I think this has been true for me, or has been good for my journey, is to build slowly and strategically. I don't jump into this or that. I take my time. I build up one thing, then I go to the next thing. I build that up. I go to the next thing. I build that up. And I don't take a lot of uncalculated risks. I'm just not a gambler by nature, anyways. But I just, um, A, want to keep my business, and B, um, I am, since I grew up poor and I didn't have much, I'm so thankful that I get to do this every day, that I value it so much I'm not willing to risk it, I guess, is probably the best way to put that. Um, but so that's sort of my my take on it, is don't jump into things too soon. Don't get into debt. I really try not to put myself into too much debt. And I know that sometimes you have to do some of that for business, but I get a little bajiggity when I am $10,000 in debt for this business, because $10,000 is a lot of money for me. And one of the things as I was building the pink barn that I really held strong to was that we couldn't do anything unless we had the money for it. And I wanted my business to pay for the pink barn itself. I didn't want any of my household funds to go to the pink barn. Because I never want my business to be a strain for our family finances, basically my husband, because he's worked hard our whole lives to build what we have, which isn't a lot. I'm not, like, we aren't millionaires or anything like that. But um, I just don't want to lose anything that we do have because of my business. So there were times while we were building the business that maybe my father-in-law would say, "We need to go buy the sheetrock now, while this is happening or that's happening." And I would say, "No, we don't have the money. I have to quilt, I need a few more weeks because I need to quilt some quilts, or I need to sell some patterns, or I need to do something to generate that income, because I, I don't have the money in my business account, so I can't buy it." And I know that was probably frustrating to my husband and my father-in-law at the time, because they wanted to progress in a certain way, but I just couldn't do that, because at the end of the day, I wanted to know that my building was done by my business free and clear, and that I wasn't in debt, and that, this business could hold its own, basically. And it did take every dime of everything that I made during that year. So it's not like I had a profitable year, but I was proud of the fact that I um, did not have to strain um, the the family budget for that. And I mean, obviously, I strained my husband's back. He did a whole lot of work. Everybody kind of rallied around that, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I would have had to hire everybody out. So, there are a lot of sacrifices made for a family business, basically. Lynn Lockhart says the quilting board is where I know you from, and you came up with Charisma's Curl. Beautiful quilting. Yes, I still use it. That's a regular design. And in fact, my friend Jane is the one that dubbed that Charisma Curl during like my very first post. And then it just kind of stuck. And she was on the quilting board as well. And Barbara says, "Good morning. I enjoy listening to all of your stories of how you started and your family stories." Thank you, Barbara. So, um, so yeah, that's the long story about how I got started. And I don't mind answering any questions along the way. I think some people have come to me over the years and said, "I'm not trying to take your business away or compete with you, but can you help me? And I never feel that way. So if you have questions and you're trying to start a business, I'm happy to help with whatever information that I have to pass along, because I think there's room for everybody and we all have our own gifts, talents, styles, all of those things. And we're all going to approach things in a different way. Um, so my way isn't necessarily the right way. That's just the way that I did it. And I have my own reasons for doing it. And mainly it's for security purposes, I guess. So I don't, I never cared about fame. I don't care about any of that. I cared about making a living and buying shoes and feeding my children. That was my first priority. And now it still really is. I don't have kids at home, but I just want to make sure that I can pay the bills, the mortgage, the heating bill, all of those things. So I still don't really take um, big gambles, only calculated risks that I think that I can absorb if I fail. And that's sort of how I approach everything. And sometimes when you do that, you might miss a boat. I mean, you really do. Um, I am afraid to take chances on a lot of things. And maybe one of those things could strike gold, but I choose not to do that. I'm kind of content with where I am and I work from that space. So if I were to never um, reach I don't even know what real, like, I guess everybody has a different definition of what success is, or, any of those things, but I don't know what I don't know. So I don't know, is it possible to get bigger or to have um, a bigger project or a bigger, like, I don't know what that is, because I honestly never thought um, that I would have as what I have. I'd never dreamed that big. And I didn't know what I didn't know. So for me, I just kind of test out the next thing and try the next thing, see if this works, see if that works. And part of that is my own creativity and wanting to stretch and grow and learn. And I have a certain amount of ADD, I think, attention deficit disorder. I I think working from home kind of creates that a little bit. But yeah. So um and another thing that was asked by Venetia was sew along dates and things coming in the pipeline. And so I want to address that. And Cheryl says, "Good morning. It's been a few years, hasn't it? It's great to remember when you started down that path." Cheryl, hi, Cheryl. So, yes, Cheryl and I took a first quilting class together. She was my boss when I first moved to Ephrata, and I was pregnant with Clarissa, actually. So, she knows kind of where I started and, all of that. So, it is pretty funny to see how all of that has grown, because obviously I didn't know that it would lead here. So, as far as sew along dates, it's kind of funny because there's so many. I didn't plan that, but this is kind of what has happened. So I know that Dazzle, which is a quilt that I designed for QT Fabrics, it's a block of the month. It is a new basics, and this basic is so beautiful. I really love it. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's sort of like kind of modern, urban. It has a lot of colors within, kind of like um, I don't know, paint sketches in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but it's beautiful. I love it. Um, and so the first video for that will drop October 15th, and they will drop on the 15th of every month for 9 months. And all of those are already dropped into the site. So I feel like so accomplished, because that quilt is done. It's been photographed. All of the videos are done and edited. So no worries. They're all done. They're in there. And So we have that. And then I am doing one called, I think I can go ahead and just share the name of it. And it's called Little Pink Homestead. I don't know that I'm going to be able to show you a picture of the quilt before we start, which is kind of a bummer. And I say that because it is an 18-month block of the month, which is kind of crazy, but it's different than anything else that I've actually designed. And it's like a sampler quilt, but it has embroidery, it has applique, it has all of these different things. And I'm doing a video for each one that I'm going to drop every other week starting in August. So I wanted to do it around the anniversary of the little pink barn because that's sort of the theme of this quilt. And so I'm going to encourage everybody to use their scraps and to start along. But I'm trying to get all of the videos done ahead of time. I have everything cut out. I have the first several blocks ready for me to do the videos, and I'm trying to finish the last half of the blocks to get the videos done. They're all cut out, but I have been so sidetracked with everything going on. So I'll at least have the videos going, but I don't know if I'll have the complete quilt done when I launch it. And I'm really working for that. But I'm so proud of it. It's such a cute quilt. I'm so excited to launch it. And I've been planning this since the beginning of the year. And it took me that long to get the fabric and like start the process of everything. So I have that. And then Rob Appel is flying in at the end of this month or July. Sorry. It was supposed to be the end of June, but change plans. And he's flying in at the end of July so that we can um, film the blocks for Epic, which has already kind of been released, but his line of fabric, I think, lands in shops September. So I think that's when those blocks will start going out. But I will have to confirm those dates. I think we were trying to get them launched in September, is when we were trying to start that one. Um, and Epic is very beautiful. It's a spinoff of Fabulous. And, it's kind of funny to design a block of the month for your friend because um, Rooster Quilter, I appreciate your approach to your business. More people should listen and take the pay as you go approach. I think so too. It just, I think, helps everything. But so as far as Epic, it's funny because Rob and I wanted to collaborate on another project. Um, had we were doing another project together that got canceled, and but we still wanted to do another block of the month. And so I don't know how it came up, if he asked me to design a block of the month for his line, or I offered, however it worked, because we talk about a lot of things. But so I designed a block of the month, and he wasn't a fan of it. And so he's like, "No, I don't want this," and I was like, "Really?" And what's funny is I'm using it now for one of my lines, and it's the one that keeps getting picked up by everybody, so I'm just kinda like, "No, it was a good one, just saying." But, so I had to keep going back. I think I had given him, like, 3 or 4 different ideas, and I'm like, "Oh, I have to work for another artist." That's so difficult sometimes, and he had such a vision in his mind of what he wanted. And I was trying to figure that out as I was pitching him different designs. And um, so then I designed Epic, and I just knew because it kind of fit all of the boxes of kind of what he was saying to me, but also because it was a spinoff of Fabulous. And how I did that is that he kept coming back with, "No, I don't like that one. No, I don't like that one. No, not this one." And because I was trying to fit a certain criteria, not just his, but of, the shop that he works for. And So I went to Fabulous and I looked at Fabulous in the file and thought, huh, I think I can do something with doing a spin-off. Let me see how this would work. And I just sort of started playing with it and came up with Epic. And so I was so excited. I knew he was flying home and he was at the airport. So I hurried up and sent him a quick mock-up, and I didn't name it yet, I think. But his no, I did name it, and I say that because when we were working on the other project, I had come up with an idea, and the only line that he sent me in the email when I had submitted that idea was, "This is epic." And so when I submitted his quilt to him, I said, "This is epic." And I'm like, "Do you like this one?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" Yes. So there wasn't even a thought to think about it, and he just accepted it. But the thing with Epic is that there is so much piecing. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of piecing. And my sample maker, Donna, um, hands down, she was like, "This is a lot of piecing. This is like a full-time job piecing." And so kudos to her for completing it, and she did a beautiful job. And so yes, I want to say that that will be launched in September. And again, a lot of piecing, but broken down in a block of the month style. It makes it manageable, and over time, it's great. The only thing about Epic and some of my other block of the months this season is that they weren't able to be broken down monthly as far as fabric wise, but just because you use like all of the colors every month almost. And but what I think is great about Stitch in Heaven, because Rob works at Stitch in Heaven, is that I think they don't like quote me on this, but I think that they are going to do pre-cut kits so all of the pieces are cut for you. And so they will be able to ship them out in monthly shipments like that rather than just buying the whole kit up front. Um, so you can watch for that. Uh, Other than that, those are the only ones that I know of off the top of my head. But I am super excited because this week I am getting my coordinates finalized for my fall launch, which is a Christmas line. And I cannot wait to show you that line because it is so adorable. I'm so excited about it. But I have a block of the month to launch with that quilt, and it's again unlike anything that I've ever launched, and I'm just so excited for it. It's just so simple and pretty, and so I think I'll be doing videos for that, but they won't start until next summer because that's when the yardage will arrive. It's so sad that I have to wait like a year for the things that I'm working on now. But and Rita Whitney says, I saw your posted pattern in American Quilt Magazine. The apple pattern is so sweet. Thank you, Rita. Yes, I shared that last week. Um, I live in Washington State. Apples are a big thing around here, and we love apples. And in fact, there's we have a lot of funny stories concerning apples and applesauce and all that. But one of my favorite stories about that is Clarissa was about 18 months old when I was processing all these apples. I had all of these boxes of apples and I was making all of this applesauce, and I felt like the worst mother on the planet because I had only given birth to boys before Clarissa, and we never had a baby doll. She didn't have a doll. And so I went into her room one day and she had a towel and she had taken some apples out of the boxes and she had like tucked them into this towel and then put them on her bed, and she was nurturing these apples like a baby. And I was like, "Oh my word, I'm like the worst mother on the planet. She wants a baby." And so we went to the store and we got her a baby, and But that was my first clue that, wow, I really dropped the ball on this. I just, when they're like sort of young, they have all of these learning toys and we're practicing colors and xylophones and, like all of this other stuff that you just really, I didn't think about, any gender stuff basically. But she was a mom through and through from the beginning. And as soon as we got her that baby, we have lots of stories about that baby. And in fact, I think when she was like 11 or 12, reaching that sort of um, puberty stage, and we were going through her clothes and her toys and, trying to figure out, like, we were redoing her room and do we get rid of this? Do we get rid of that? And her very first baby that she loved to the hilt. I mean, the eye was like still sticking, you know how that happens. And the dog had chewed off one hand and it was just like worse for the wear of this little baby. And she's like, no, I still can't part with that. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. So, so anyway, so apples have just, kind of made their way into our family story in lots of different ways because living in Central Washington is apple country, and they have been a big part of our diet and our life. So, um, so yeah, and um, so last week sort of got away from me because um, we had all of these different things pop up, and this week is sort of the same thing. I think that's why I haven't gotten all of the videos done for the Little Pink Homestead yet, because I had planned to do that, but just all of these different like sort of life things have popped up. And I think that's the um one of the things about working from home, that it's a blessing and a curse because I'm available for when those things pop up, but then, my workload sort of pays the price for that. And I've kind of been struggling with feeling cold and tired because I am very close to needing an iron infusion because I have anemia, but I have to wait for my numbers to get low enough before insurance will cover that. And so I always feel like I have to be like, crawling in there before they'll help me. And um, so I've been struggling with that a little bit. And uh, this week we have some things too. One of my daughter-in-laws, her grandparents are in town, so they are coming here for dinner tomorrow. I have an interview for the magazine that I'm going to be in. That's on Thursday, and I need to clean all weekend because the photographers are going to be here on Monday to take pictures and do that. And we have some meetings for the church and different things like that. So we just have a lot going on. And I still have chickens and dogs and gardens and all of those things that you have to keep up on. And Rob didn't get to work on the house this weekend because he got called into work, so he was there all weekend. And so I think we're both feeling a little bit behind on some things. But uh, Roger says, good morning, sunshine. Faith is getting ready for work and I'm sipping hot coffee get and to get an eye open. Apples are great for everything, even dolls. Yes, absolutely. And Lynn says, I'm so happy for you. Thank you. I thought maybe I should hire a cleaning service to come into the barn and start cleaning because I just don't have a lot of time to get everything done. But apparently it's too soon. I can't find a cleaning service that's willing to come in before the first. So I have to do it on my own, which isn't really on my own. I'm going to make Rob help me, which he does not like to do. But I mean, he likes to help me. He just doesn't like to clean. So um, I call him Fred Flintstone because he is very much like that in a lot of ways. But Lilia, thank you. Um, so I think I answered the questions that were asked on social media. And I also, if you guys haven't seen it, I posted a video on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, so all the medias, well, that I use, I should say, of me walking into the front door of the barn a couple nights ago. I just happened to be outside working in the yard and doing stuff, and I still had to get a few things done in the studio. So I thought, oh, I'll just kind of film this. And it is kind of amazing still. I never sort of it it's just amazing how all of this has worked out. And as I was building the barn, I didn't realize it was as big of a deal as it turned out to be. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I don't really know how to capture the right words for what I'm trying to say, but I knew I was blessed, and I knew um, all of that because of my husband. When we were looking for a house, having the studio was at the forefront of our mind. We didn't know what that would be. Would it be a basement in our house? Would it be, a she shed? Would it be this or that? But we had this barn on the existing property, and um, there's a couple of things about that process is that, yes, my husband is very supportive, and he fully supports my business, and he's part of it. I mean, he makes decisions, he helps me, he supports me, and all of those things. But he also wanted the business kind of out of our house. And I say that because in our last house, the business kind of took over everything. He gave up his garage because my machine and studio was in a converted garage. So he took out the garage door, he put up sheetrock, he wired everything, and made this studio that was kind of attached to our house. And then as each kid left, the business sort of took over a room. So one room was all printers for the patterns, one room was stash and where I filmed my videos, and um, our family room had, one of the machines in it because our garage couldn't fit 3 quilting machines. So really, and then one of the kids' bedrooms was an office. And because I had taken over the family room, one of our boys' room became his kind of TV room, the man cave. And by the time we left that house, we really only had, I would say, like a little apartment that we were living in because we had our living room, dining room, kitchen, bathroom, and our master bedroom, and that's where we lived our life. Um, so we had this whole house, but it was a quilting studio. And so I think he felt like, he didn't have like a home. It was all the business. And so it was very important to him that when we moved that there could be a separation between our home and business. And he has told me I'm not allowed to have a sewing machine in the house because he built this big barn. And fair enough. Like I'm fine with that. That seems like a good compromise to me. So um he doesn't resent it in any way. I think he just really wanted a home. So it's like fine. Um, and uh, and Rooster Quilter says really enjoyed the video tour of the pink barn. Such a blessing and a gift. It really is. And Doreen says loved seeing your pink barn at night with the lights. It's so beautiful. It really is. I can't. I didn't have a plan of it being pink when we first started. That just sort of happened. I feel like all of it sort of presented itself as I was going because, I mean, we had a plan of having the sewing room, the stairs, the loft, like the bones of it were all planned even like really before we moved here of how we were going to do all of that. But I didn't know how it was going to end up, all of the pieces of furniture along the way, you know, that all just sort of started building. As soon as he started building, I was thinking about all of the things along the way of how I would do this or that. And it all sort of happened organically. And, that's also kind of where I'm a poor businesswoman because every time I posted something or maybe something I had bought, I didn't have links. I didn't do any of the pre-work ahead of time. So some of the people in my industry were like, Charisma, why aren't you banking on that? Like, why aren't you getting, what are those affiliate links or whatever? And I really did not think a lot of things. One, I wasn't thinking about um, all of these things being a business opportunity. It was just organically being built as I was doing it. And I think that would have robbed me of the process of what I was trying to create for myself. And so I don't want, I don't want to say that I don't want to capitalize on everything. Um, but I don't, I guess. I want it to be real and authentic and just be myself. And I am just, I guess, flattered when somebody else thinks that my idea is a good idea or that they like my style, because I didn't go into it thinking that it was going to be whatever style that this is, shabby chic or farmy chic or whatever this is. I just honestly wanted things to tell a story. I feel like I like things to be imperfect, and I like the things that get a new chapter in life because I feel like that's kind of me and resonates something within me. So I didn't want to go to IKEA and buy all of these brand new or custom made things because that didn't resonate with me personally. And I love those studios. I love walking into someone else's studio and that everything matches. And there is something very good about my OCD with that. But for me, it was more important for things to have a story. I think that that resonates more with me. And so I didn't capitalize on anything like that because it just was. And I didn't think ahead a lot. You know, a lot of times it would be I'm exhausted at night and I'm sitting in bed and I'm looking through um, the Facebook local market, and I might see a set of lockers, which is like my cutting table, or I would see this beaten up chest of drawers that's, over here in my studio, and I'd say, "Oh, I can fix that. I can, give that a new life." And so there wasn't a plan really. But there was a few things that I probably could have gotten affiliate links for, the paint, some of the furniture I bought off of Overstock, or, whatever. But um, I don't do that. I just kind of don't think ahead like that. I wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, and I didn't care. And I didn't think that it would resonate with everybody else so much. I thought I was just building a studio. And then while I was proud of all of the things that I was doing and accomplishing, I was sharing that. And it seemed to resonate with many of you who started following during that time. And um, so I think a lot of what I'm saying in all of this is to be real and authentic and to just follow your own heart and passion, because then I think you find um, your true uh, family, fans, friends, all of the people that are interested in the same things that you're interested in. Um, so yeah. Okay, well, I think that our Monday live time is about up. I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time with me rambling. And it's kind of funny. I was talking about this with my husband yesterday because I am now teaching Sunday school classes at church, and I have a really good pastor that is trying to like train me, in this thing. And one of the things that he keeps saying to me while he's training me is that I don't need to fill the space all of the time. And that is totally because I am doing YouTube. Because in YouTube, you can't have dead space. And when you're talking in front of a crowd, you can't have dead space. So you try to fill it with things instead of letting other people kind of absorb and talk and, work through that. So I am getting a whole lot of lessons in um, life and applying these things. And so I always have like a list of things that I want to talk about or give me reminders in case I have dead space on YouTube if people aren't asking me questions. and, and that technique is not good in a classroom setting. So now I have to um, train my brain a little bit. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful week, and I hope um, give your dogs a little hug for me. Our Monday motivation was about dogs and family and unconditional love and all of those things. So have a great day. Bye.